Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 9th of August 2021, and these are the stories that will be under discussion during the course of the show. We will begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the recent wave of terrorism in Pakistan, whether it be in Waziristan or whether it be in Quetta. We've heard these incidents taking place. What is the fight that Pakistan is undergoing against terrorism since the National Action Plan was implemented after the heinous attack on the Army Public School in Peshawar? We'll be talking in detail about this recent wave of terrorism, who or which organism could be or is behind this. Our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, concerns Pakistan that has rejected Indian allegations that it wanted to infiltrate terrorists via the line of control, saying that India's campaign, which is a smear campaign against Islamabad, was well known. This is, of course, in response to a media campaign that India has launched against Pakistan. Nothing new as far as that is concerned. This is going to be our second segment. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about Prime Minister Imran Khan, who has told the youth of Pakistan on Sunday that one who loses is the one who gives up. And of course, he posted a video with it on Twitter, and it was a very inspirational video, and we will be talking about what inspiration leads to when it comes to the youth or any person in Pakistan or any country of the world. I think the passion and determination is very important. Let's come to our first story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the recent wave of terrorism in Pakistan, whether it be Waziristan or whether it be Quetta. More in the following report.
Pakistan's fight against terrorism is seemingly entering a new dangerous phase as security situation in western neighboring Afghanistan deteriorates. The escalating insecurity and violence in Afghanistan is purportedly inducing ripple effects in Pakistan and the broader region. Terrorist propensities of all hues and colors are rearing their ugly head again, as indicated by recent incidents of violence and terrorism in bordering areas of Pakistan. Marking a strategic strike to sabotage CPEC, a blast in Quetta near Serena Hotel was another gruesome attempt to dismantle the peace and stability of Balochistan. 2 police personnel were martyred while many others sustained injuries. Earlier, the Subas blast was deliberately designed terror act to hamper Pakistan's economic ambitions and cast a rift in China-Pakistan friendship. Inspired and emboldened by an insurgency in Afghanistan, the terror outfits have garnered renewed momentum to assert their narrative. Inter-Services Public Relations Director General Major General Babar Iftikhar emphasized in recent interview that the growing number of terrorism incidents and attacks on security forces in country were linked with the developing political situation in Afghanistan. Since strife in Afghanistan is exposing Pakistan to security threats that it has dealt with in the past at a heavy cost, it's imperative to implement National Action Plan to rid Pakistan of menace of terrorism and militancy. It is pertinent to mention here that National Action Plan, created on December 25, 2014, is a comprehensive counter-terrorism strategy which set generic goals for improvement in overall security situation of the country.
Now to talk further about this grave situation that is slowly and steadily engulfing Pakistan, and what are the reasons, what are the elements behind this, we've been joined by Rana, Ather Javed Saab. He is a security analyst in the DG Pakistan House. Thank you very much, Rana Saab, to have joined us. Rana Saab, this latest wave of incidents, I mean, if you go online and if you see, it all started in Quetta in April of this year, when purportedly the Chinese ambassador was the target. Of course, he wasn't there. But after that, we saw roadside blasts in Quetta very recently, in which, of course, these 2 policemen were killed, 21 others wounded. Then in Waziristan, we have been seeing the different incursions and the military infiltration one way or the other. And of course, our forces have effectively responded to it. This recent wave that has slowly and steadily entered Pakistan since April this year, which elements, in your point of view, are behind it?
Thank you very much, Omar. I think it's a situation, you as used word grave. I think it's a very serious situation in terms of while Pakistan has facilitated and facilitating the peaceful resolution and withdrawal of the US forces and facilitating in negotiation in Doha and all the UN efforts, UNSC efforts in Afghanistan, I think it's very clear that which country, and which is India, would like Pakistan to take the focus away and indulge Pakistan forces into internal security situation. if you look at the attacks, the way they are orchestrated, like from, for example, from the Chinese bus attack to Kuram Agency, then the North Waziristan, South Waziristan, Quetta. So they want to actually extend their outreach and mark in order to divert the resources which Pakistan does need at the western border and also at the eastern border, because we do not know that at what point and which time India would like to halt the line of control as they do it in order to basically cover up what they are doing inside Pakistan. Their sponsorship, it appears to me now, is permanent sponsorship of terrorism inside Pakistan. They have designed it in order to put more pressure on Pakistan, and you would see, we may see, God forbid, but we would see more attacks. I think if we point out that which 2-3 elements are really important. One, as I said, Afghanistan's settlement, which Pakistan has played a positive role.
Of course, a very important
Very
role.
important. India did not. And India basically has shied away in engaging with Pakistan.
But now it is trying to take credit one way or the other. Now that it is the president of the UNSC, Pakistan is being denied entry into important conferences on Afghanistan. I mean, we just heard Shamim with
And that is my second point, is that if you look that internally they are trying to put more pressure on Pakistan security forces. I mean, the martyrs we have seen in the past, if we say 10 days, numbers are increasing, the wounded people are increasing. But as we all know that Pakistan is not going to literally take India's this bill, as they are trying to give. Pakistan has countered and will be countering. On the external side, the only thing India had right now, which came as a surprise to us, that of course it's not surprise, but in a way that she became the president of the UNSC, this which is rotation, and the turn came in a very wrong moment for Pakistan and for the world, because everyone knows that from Doha to DC to Kabul, anywhere Pakistan has facilitated. How come at a very critical juncture of this withdrawal which is taking place, Pakistan is not even invited? That is not actually, Pakistan I think stands tall among all these countries. It's Pakistan which created the window of opportunity for the US and the NATO forces to have a respectable withdrawal. Otherwise, if we look at the history, and you would see that during the past these years, it is not like they are going voluntarily, obviously, because the Taliban has beaten them up in different ways and means. I'm not supporting any party, but my point would be, it will be absolutely precarious in terms of strategic decision making at the UNSC that the neighboring country, the most important country, who is hosting,
is excluded
3-4 million refugees, expecting more, fence the entire most difficult terrain in the world, and in the end, what we get. I mean, I'm actually shocked as well that no Security Council member has intervened. They should have intervened.
Exactly, and I should have told
And
India.
about the CT campaign, I can tell you that in my personal view, Pakistan military is conducting, despite we are sacrificing our young men in uniform, the soldiers, the officers alike, our heart goes out. But as we all know, that to protect the freedom of the country and to protect our soil from the enemy footprints, the sacrifices must be given, and that's what we are doing.
But we have given so many sacrifices, tens of thousands.
I was coming to that point which you said. Now the issue here is that there is no realization, I would say, on the regional level. I mean, only China can understand it. I know that Russia to an extent is understanding and cooperating. Iran is cooperating and understanding. But we need to create a kind of consortium to neutralize at least India's that position, which undermines US desire and the global desire of peace in Afghanistan. And secondly, I think a time will come again now that India will exert more pressure on us. Although Pakistan is offering olive branch to negotiate
since a long time.
It's, I mean, if we look at the patience, the patience is running out in sense of that on the one hand, India says India does everything in Kashmir, it gets away. On the other hand, it runs a false campaign of media campaign against Pakistan. It implicates all kind of people, those who do not even have anything to do with Kashmir.
True.
And overall, you know, we are listening, you know, as we are reading about it, that India still alleges Pakistan of any kind of more, you know, serious infiltration. And that makes no sense because India has obtained the most high-end, sophisticated thermal cameras for the overhead imagery, for aerial intelligence from Israel, and their fences are so with the artificial intelligence equipped in a way that they can monitor every damn thing. I mean, a small bird cannot cross in, as those who supplied to them has said it, and they very proudly say that we have the best equipment. Saying all these things mean actually maligning Pakistan, preventing at the UNSC. It's like a full campaign, comprehensive campaign they are running to discredit Pakistan's efforts.
Even at the FATF, I mean, for that matter.
I mean, this is, as I said, it's their comprehensive mindset and part of the, you know, real-time psychological warfare in which you want to neutralize your enemy by various means, like as I said, externally, internally, and there would be no doubt in my mind. You will see that there will be more people caught, will be caught in future who are Indian sponsored, maybe the field operatives, because the people who done something in Lahore, previously Johor Town, he was also, I mean, he's going to also be linked because the explosive, I don't know from where he got the explosive, but where he prepared the car in the KP province somewhere in there and then brought it here. To be honest, sleeper cells, as you were mentioning before we discussion, that India has activated again, reactivated their sleeper cells. They took a few months of these COVID-19, and I think they have consolidated their assets inside the country. Pakistan, of course, has done tremendous job. It needs to, it's trying its best under the circumstances because Pakistan has been very successful in fighting this COVID-19 and not unlike India, that we were not really locking down our daily wages workers.
And we managed to curtail the number of...
managed to curtail. And internationally, you know, I travel a lot, so we get to talk to people and they will provide you that the vaccine even provided by Chinese here at the moment has not found a single dysfunctionality which indicates that it had this implication. All other vaccines, including, you know, you name all those, have some kind of reactions to it. So I think what Pakistan needs to do right now is try to implement our National Action Plan, which was, as you mentioned in your intro, back in 2014, and that after the horrendous APS attack, I think it needs to be implemented in terms of finding out the funding, whatever we can, funding, and those sleeper cells which exist, because chronologically, if we look at the date-wise, that somehow whatever development occurring in Afghanistan, the pressure is mounting on us day by day, and it may mount until mid of September, because the US withdrawal will complete in 31st August or so. So they're left advisors and contractors. So remember about advisor and contractors that they are basically much more fragile than a unified conventional force, because they do not have command and control system. They're easy to be infiltrated by Indian entities, and I'm sure they already had, because global terrorist network which India runs is not only inside Pakistan. They conducted many other activities, and also especially sending in disguise BJP, these RSS fighter inside Kashmir in disguise of BSF, Border Security Force. There have been documented by the Western sources, and it has been highlighted by international news agencies. BBC has done some reporting that there are allegations on our RSS fighters. So my point would be that Pakistan must implement fully, on the one hand, on our inner side, despite India's intervention, that there must be a joint intelligence-based operation
between all the forces that
all
are
the
present.
forces. So the burden on Pakistan armed forces should be reduced because look, Pakistan forces are fighting left and right.
True.
On the one hand, we are protecting these fence we are building and trying to
And
block.
that is so important, this fence that we have built,
Yeah.
because had we not built this
and
fence,
also we have
would had
documented
other
like
repercussions.
that anybody comes from Afghanistan has to be biometrically, done their entry, and they had to be a visa, a proper procedure. This is part of the progressive Pakistan in which we have established a mechanism after thousands of years. I mean, these borders were porous even after 1947. It's the first time, even during the British, it was not like that. Now, since we have decided to prevent, so one of the reasons is that Pakistan is also tired of it, these allegations which they say, but we face much more infiltration really from the other side, that the from Afghanistan side, all these militant organizations, like we all know that how much Daesh was sponsored inside Afghanistan by India,
Of course.
and how many other organizations, new organizations are created by India during its withdrawal. I mean, when they were withdrawing their diplomatic sources, they have ensured that they leave some entities there and take them back to India in order to launch back inside Pakistan.
Of course.
I mean, this is my fear is this. But my confidence in our forces, in police and in other law enforcement agencies and on military, that we will succeed. Our campaign had a lull period because we made huge gains after the rehabilitation.
After the two, of course, and also we had two major operations against the terrorists in Pakistan.
Exactly. So I think Pakistan should continue to implement its National Action Plan in letter and spirit. More intelligence-based operation needed with joint efforts. More training should be rendered, which are already done to the CT department of the police. And police, for me, to be honest, has come a long way.
Of course.
And they have done a tremendous...
A lot of progress.
A lot of progress in KP, in Quetta. Obviously, if we are up against a country which is 9 times or 10 times of our size, and they are operating illegally intelligence networks, Pakistan's security forces and all have to work under a legal framework. I mean, for them to attack civilians and others doesn't matter. And that's what they have done, and they are doing it.
And putting the blame on Pakistan.
And blame on Pakistan. But the world also knows. I mean, we understand that, as we always say, that India is the biggest trade this place. But India has also lost that status. This India's, I would say, below the belt and less diplomatic effort or tactic to prevent Pakistan into UNSC would also give Pakistan, whenever it comes, an opportunity. And we all know that Pakistan never opposed. When Pakistan was president, Pakistan never let India not to come or speak or whatever it is. I mean, it's really...
Because, when you are part of a larger organization such as the United Nations or even other important organizations like the SCO, you never disallow another member not to take part in meetings that concern that country.
It means one thing, that the current Indian government is politically amateur.
Or also following a certain agenda against Pakistan.
Agenda, and their nationalistic agenda undercuts all Indian old traditions on the basis of which West really, India has been the darling of the West. In my personal view, if you talk to any people on the ground in England or in the US, people of those countries, they really say about it very categorically that India has become much more a Hindu nationalist country than India. India itself, like all-inclusive India, as we all know. And the second thing which comes out very clearly is about that India has lost that status. During the COVID-19, Indian authorities lied about the deaths. Millions of people perished. And I think India it looks like on a venge course to Pakistan. But
it's something new as far as this course of vengeance against Pakistan, for God knows which reason. Because Pakistan has always been trying to create a certain, friendly relationship with India. But India has never accepted Pakistan. I think it whole boils down to the crux of the fact that India has never really accepted Pakistan since 1947.
To be honest, it doesn't matter. We are here to for the indefinite period. Pakistan is here to stay. India's situation is worsening because of this party's, the BJP's control of entire and the brutality in Kashmir. It is going to destroy India itself, and you will see it. If it doesn't happen in our lives, it will happen in the lives of the next generation, that India is being destroyed by Indians.
All right. Now, last question, Rana Saab. You talked about strategies. Now, when it comes to Pakistan, looking back at what happened in the last few months, do you feel also that the forces that be should also increase their connectivities with our friendly nations such as Russia and China in order to apprise them of all that has been happening? What are the factors behind it? Because there are a lot of things that we can talk about on fora. There are a lot of things that go on behind our, backdoor diplomacy or through backdoor channels. Do you feel Pakistan needs to accelerate this as well in the days to come?
I think it's a very important question. Whatever happens, if there are Indian entities are involved, the sponsorship of the cells, they must be documented. I'm sure they've done it, but they must be shared with a friendly nation. Explain to them the reason, because India's involvement in scuttling CPAC and all those are projects revolves not against in Pakistan also, but it also involves China's rise. It also involves the maintenance of the relationship between Pakistan and China, and a disharmony between these two countries. I think your point is important, and Pakistan must exercise, or maybe should.
Or maybe it is already doing that.
No, I know they're doing it, because I'm sure about that this intelligence dossier must have been provided to all friendly nations. It's only their reaction has to be also accounted for.
Exactly.
I mean, they should also come in and see that if Pakistan try to build a peaceful relationship, a coexistence between India and the region.
And there's a definite strategy from the Indian side as far as what it is perpetrating or what it is doing, its malicious intent internally and externally, and targeting specifically its neighboring country, that is Pakistan. Thank you very much, Rana. Ather, Javed Saab, security analyst and DG Pakistan House, to have joined us and to have talked to us extensively about Pakistan's security spectrum, as well as its the relationship that India is kind of perpetrating as far as Pakistan is concerned. Let's go towards our Prime Minister Imran Khan Saab, and he has told the youth of Pakistan on Sunday that one only loses when they give up. His remarks came through his official Twitter handle. He had posted a video of Dutch runner Sifan Hassan's victory at the Tokyo Olympic Games 2020. This video, and you'll be seeing this, you're seeing this in fact in your in the parallel window, shows Hassan during a 1500-meter run. Here she tripped over an opponent and fell during the final lap. The runner got up, continued with the race, and eventually came in first place. Prime Minister Imran Khan said in his tweet, and I quote, "This is the most important lesson that sports taught me." I'm talking about the Prime Minister. He said, "You only lose when you give up." That is a very important message. You only lose when you give up. One should never give up under any circumstance. I think the determination, the passion that our youth has should be accelerated and accentuated, not only by those around them, but also by their elders, by the society. And that is how a nation becomes strong. That is how a nation becomes resilient. And that is how a nation counters any nefarious activity against it. When you lose hope, this is when you lose everything. With that, Omar, Khalid bids you farewell from today's episode of Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories and segments that concern you and us. Till then, stay safe, follow the SOPs, and get yourselves vaccinated if you haven't so. Allah Hafiz.